Hello, my name is Peter Parfitt. Welcome to New Brit Workshop. Now, I've had loads of questions about extractors over the past few months, and of course at the moment we're not able to go to shows. In fact, few of us are able to even get into a DIY shop. And so I thought about this idea of giving you a sort of a virtual show about extractors. Now, I've had two extractors for quite a long time, and that's the CT26, which I've had for about 11 years now. I bought that from Axminster when I bought my Capex saw. And I've got the little CT Sys, which I've had for quite a while too. But in order to give this just a little bit more relevance across the range, I've kindly been lent an extractor by Festool UK. Now, this extractor is no longer in production, but it's been superseded. And I've got a CT-M36. Now, the very first thing I'm going to mention when you're looking at different types of extractor are the class. And I've got examples of two classes, class L, which is the CT26 and the CT Sys, and class M, which is the one on the right, which is the CT-M36. Now, there is another class above this, which I know virtually nothing about, which is designed for the very safe extraction of hazardous materials like asbestos and so on. But I'm not going to talk about those at all. I know nothing about it. If it's got an L classification, it means in woodworking terms it's fine for continuous use with soft woods, sucking up the dust from that, and general cleaning up. And I've been using my CTL26 for the last 11 years for all of my woodworking. However, if you're running a business or if you're inviting the public into your workshop for anything, then you do need to go up a class. Certainly in the UK, you need to go to an M-class extractor. And the M-class extractor has better performance in terms of extracting dust. It also has some safety features on it which will warn the operator of a blocked hose or if the bag gets full, and so on. So if you're a professional, get an M-class without a doubt. If you're an amateur or DIY guy, if you can afford the M-class, then get it. Otherwise, get an L-class extractor. So now you know how to make a decision between an L-class extractor or an M-class, and why it might be a legal requirement for you to have an M-class extractor in your workshop. But what else do you need to take into account? Now, the next thing that might be important to you is the size of the dust bag or the receptor inside the machine. Now, I've got two dust bags here. This is the one for the CT Sys on my left here, and this is the one for the CT26. And the difference in size between these is easy to see. So there's the CT26 bag, and here's the CT Sys. So the CT Sys isn't going to give you many hours of using a track saw, but the CT26 and the CT36 will. And with the new bag, you take the new bag, unfold it completely, and you'll notice this mechanism here. It is a mechanism because if I pull up on that, you can see that closes the bag off and opens it up again. Fully open as it should be. That tab is there. And now I'm going to turn this round, and all that writing is going to be underneath. And I'm going to just gently push that down in there, like so. And now at this end, we've got this little projection here, which is where the hose comes in. And we've got this tab here. There's a little slot down there for this end of the tab to fit into. And then one pushes that home like so, and then lowers this green tab on top. So that's now held that cardboard opening secure. The next job is just to gently push the bag into the hole, trying to keep it nice and even, and making sure that no part of the bag is about to be trapped here when we put the motor unit on. All we now do is put the motor unit back on, making sure the bag is not about to be pinched as one does this. Lower it down carefully, and then these side handles go up up like so, and then click in. I'll do it again. So up like so, and click. And the motor unit now is held firmly on the base. Now, of course, another thing you're interested in is just how much sucking power will you get from the extractor you choose. And how do you tell the difference between all those specs that you read on the website of the manufacturer? Now, I'm going to start by talking about the vacuum strength, or strength of the vacuum. And that's normally quoted in pascals. It may be in other units if you're in other parts of the world, but I'm wholly metric. So trust me, pascals it is. Well, I think I better explain what a pascal is. And I'm not talking about a little boy with a red balloon either. Now, a pascal is a force of 1 Newton spread over an area of 1 square metre. So it's a force of pressure. It could either be positive or negative, depending which way it's going. So that's what a pascal is. It's 1 Newton applied over an area of 1 square metre. So 24,000 pascals will be equivalent then to 24,000 newtons over a square metre. Now, to bring it into sort of terms that you and I understand because we're sitting here on Earth, if you had a weight of 1 kilogram on the surface of the Earth, then the force that it exerts would be 9.81 newtons. Okay, so that's how a kilogram feels on the surface of the Earth. So that pressure then of 24,000 pascals is the equivalent of the pressure that would be exerted on the surface of the Earth by a weight of 2,450 kilograms. That's again over that square metre. So in realistic terms, that is 245 grams per square centimetre. Now, I don't know how big the area of the end of a nozzle on an extractor might be, but let's just pretend it's 10 square centimetres. So that would mean that that vacuum has the ability to perhaps lift up to 2.4 kilograms over that area. Now, that's not really absolute science, but it's an idea of what a pascal is. And I'm afraid this demonstration is going to be even less scientific than my explanation. There's the end of my nozzle. It's not 10 square centimetres. But mind you, that doesn't weigh 2.4 kilos. It probably weighs just over 1.5, maybe just slightly less than that. But then, how do you compare one to the other? Well, let's look at these 3 extractors and see how much sucking power each can give. The CTM36 and the CT26, 24,000 pascals. The CT Sys, this little tiny thing here, what do you think? 20,000 pascals. So not a huge difference between this little thing and these. Now, it's all very well having that sucking power, but it's not going to do a lot of good in the workshop if it's coming through a little tiny nozzle like this. And so there's another factor, and that is the actual airflow. And that's measured in litres per minute. And so you might have a 27mm hose or a 36 or 3mm hose, whatever it might be, whatever is connected to your machine. Now, the maximum airflow, probably measured with no hose attached at all, for the CTM36 and the CTL26 is 3,900 litres a minute. And what about the little tiny CT Sys? Well, it's doing 3,000 litres a minute. Again, considering its small size, it's doing a pretty good job, isn't it? Now, it may be important to you to know the power consumption of your extractor. CTM 36, CTL 26, both up to 1,200 watts. And the little CT Sys, 1,000 watts. You know, that little extractor is like the runt of the litter, or the chap who's at the back of the pack and he's slowly trying to catch up. He never quite makes it, but it's doing a pretty good job. So it's not a bad little extractor if you want something that's very easy to transport, perhaps to go up in the attic or to go into someone's house and do a quick clean-up, whatever it might be. So yeah, don't discount the CT Sys as being rubbish, because it's not. Now, if you're going up into the attic, then weight is important. The little CT Sys is just under 7 kilos. The CTL 26 is about 14 kilos, and the CTM 36 is just over 15 kilos. So you can see those two are quite a lot heavier than little CT Sys, as you'd expect. Now, another thing you might wish to consider is the filter area. Inside each of these extractors, there's a filter which effectively filters the air that's come through the extractor and then is about to go to the outside world. The area for the CT36 and also for the CT26 is 6,300 square centimetres. For the little CT Sys, it's just over 5,000. And so there is a slight difference. But again, not a monster difference. And these do need to be changed from time to time. Now, whilst I'm talking about filters, let's just look very carefully at the CTM 36 Auto Clean. That's what this is. Now, these are designed for really difficult, dirty work. You know, when you're sanding drywall, trying to clean up the surface of drywall, if you're cutting brick, stone, and so on and so forth, and you're hoovering up all the dust that's coming off, well, this is the type of machine you wish to use. And there is a function built into the machine, which I'll demonstrate in a minute, which is auto clean. And basically what it does, it shakes the filter quite violently. Well, you'll hear it in a minute. And that gets some of the caked in dust out of the filter so that it's giving almost 100% service all of the time. And with an M-class extractor, the cleaning of the filter can be set to automatic, and therefore as you're doing your drywall work or whatever it might be, every now and again the extractor goes like that and cleans its filter. And putting the filter back in is pretty straightforward. This handle is going to go down towards the front of the machine, so pop it in like so, and then close the handle, and that's it, fixed in place. Just make sure it's all secure. Then put the motor unit back on, making sure that you don't trap the bag or the mains cable in as you put it down. And then lift up the handle, like so, and that's now ready to go. Now, I haven't mentioned hoses. The modern hoses that Festool produce are absolutely brilliant because they've got a smooth outside. And this particular hose tapers from the machine down to this end. And that makes it just a little bit more efficient. The wider the hose, the better. So we're now going to look at the auto clean function. I'm going to turn the machine on and then demonstrate auto clean. Those loud bangs was that filter being vibrated rather hard. I'm going to put it in automatic auto clean here. That's the position for this switch now to make that auto clean function happen all the time. I'll turn it on. Now, I speeded that up a little bit so that it wasn't too boring, but anyway, you get the idea. Every now and again, that filter gets a jolly good shake, and that will help to keep it clean when you're doing those really dirty tasks with drywall, silica dust of any type, brick, stone, and so on. Now, on the subject of the auto clean, there's this gadget that comes with this particular extractor, and basically it's a little valve that you can shut off, and it fits on the front here, and you could plug your hose directly into the front there, so that gets left there all the time. Now, at the end of the day, it's good practice when you remove the hose, when you're putting this machine back in the van or wherever, to close that up. And that then stops any of the debris inside from coming out from the extractor as it's being moved. Now, there's another function of this, and that is it can be used at the end of the day as part of the auto cleaning function. And you close it off, you put the extractor into auto clean. And that does the final auto clean of the day. So with that valve shut off. You could, if you didn't have one of those, put your hand over the end of the hose to achieve the same effect. Now with the M-class extractor, I've already demonstrated the auto clean function, which can be turned on and off here and can be invoked manually by flicking this all the way around to the right or all the way around to the left. And you know that the filter gets bashed around a little bit. There's a control here and here which I need to explain. First of all, this control dictates the amount of suction at any given time, and you can reduce that. If you are sanding, for example, sometimes it's beneficial not to have the sander trying to suck itself up against the piece of wood you're sanding, so you turn the pressure down. So that's that control there. Then there's this control here. Now this is part of the M safety feature, just as the auto clean function is. And you can tell this extractor what diameter hose you're using. So you know the diameter of the hose, and you set this from 21 up to 50. And the reason for that is that the extractor then knows what airflow is right for that size of hose. So down at the lower end, it's not expecting to achieve a particularly high airflow, because the extractor itself will sound an alarm if the airflow goes below what should be expected for the particular diameter of hose. And there might be a blockage, or it may be that a filter needs to be replaced. Who knows? But anyway, that's the purpose of that control. And you don't get that on the L-class extractors. Let me try and demonstrate this. Now you can hear that beeping. Now you can hear that beeping noise just about, and that was, I turned this up and said to the machine, I've got a 50mm hose attached. I haven't. It was a smaller one. And I then put my fingers over the end here to reduce the flow even further. And then it didn't take long for that beeping to occur. So that was telling me, the operator, that something's wrong. It's not safe to do M-class extraction in that situation. Now, if you're working with the CT sys, you can break it down so it's an even smaller package. This top part is really just little more than a tool receptacle. And if I take this off now, and I can now plug the hose directly into here. I've just got to take the power cord out from there. It passes through a slot there. So that's the power cord back in. And now perhaps you can see just what a small package that is to take into an attic or whatever. And if I open this up here, you can see the filter bag. There's actually a little place for a couple of tools here as well. So the whole thing is very neat and self-contained. And in order to change the filter bag, very carefully move it up like that. Close this off as soon as you're ready to change it. And then fit the new bag. Now note that the way round it should go, tuck it in like so. That end goes under, there's a little cutout there, that goes down, and that's the new filter bag fitted. And underneath here, if I remove this, you've got the actual filter for this machine, and you can just pull it out and replace it as and when required. Pop that back in, that goes down, click there, and there we go. So this machine is now ready to operate again. For a moment, I just want to talk about Bluetooth units. This is my old CT26, and I've fitted a Bluetooth unit to it ages and ages ago. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how easy it is to do that by transferring the one from this machine onto that machine. First of all, let me just demonstrate how Bluetooth works. You have this little push button which can go anywhere. It's got this strap so it can go round a hose if you wish, or on your wrist perhaps, I don't know. And anyway, if you press that, the extractor starts, and press it again and the extractor stops. And that was that one that's doing that. Now the first thing I'm doing is making sure that both extractors are unplugged from the mains. And absolutely, don't leave it in there, switch the switch off. Absolutely pull that plug out before you do anything like this. And let's pretend we're about to fit a Bluetooth unit to this machine. So I'm going to take off this cover here. And I hope you can see now, down in this bottom corner is a little set of 4 pins sticking upwards. And those are the pins that are going to connect to the Bluetooth module. Now I'm just going to take the module out of the other machine. And there's the Bluetooth module. And you can see this white bit here. That's the bit that's going to connect to those 4 pins on the other machine. So here we are on the other machine. So just imagine we've now just taken this out of its packet. Push that in firmly. Return the 2 screws. So with the Bluetooth module fitted, the machine's switched to auto on there, and ordinarily, when you buy one of these, the Bluetooth commander, this bit, should already be paired with the module. But there's a very simple procedure if you need to repair it just by pressing the button. But anyway, here we go. So that's how easy it is to fit a Bluetooth module to your extractor. Now you must make sure that the extractor you have is suitable for the connection of a Bluetooth module. And the simple way to see is to look for a blanking plate in a place like that. Well, that completes my quick rundown of these extractors from Festool. Now, ordinarily at this stage, I would say don't take my word for it. Go to a show or go to a shop and have a look at all these things yourself. Well, I really hope that the shows are not so very far away now. I'd also like to mention again my thanks to Festool UK for lending the CTM36 extractor to me so that I could do this. And let me remind you, that extractor is no longer in production. It's been replaced by the CTM36 Reno Fix. Many thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.